The evil counterpart. It's a classic fiction trope. You take the hero and give them an edgier, darker outlook on life. Now, Final Fantasy XIV first tackled this kind of storytelling with the Warriors of Darkness. These 5 initially come off as cliche. They even wear the artifact gear just in much darker colors. But they aren't actually evil, only desperate to do anything to save their world. And that's what makes their story so interesting. I'd like to closely examine the warriors and what drives them. Let's begin with Branden. Now, Branden, like the rest of his companions, aren't from the source. That's the world our Warrior of Light hails from. The first is a reflection of that world, created by the Sundering. This means while each world, or shard, is a reflection of the source, there are many key differences. For instance, Branden looks like a traditional Rogadin, but he's actually a Galgant. This difference alone doesn't mean much as far as we know, but it is worth noting. Branden's journey as a knight began as a young recruit in the kingdom of Vobert. He managed to catch the eye of Princess Saldia, who requested him as her personal protector. This is because she's embarking on a dangerous mission. Across the kingdom, innocent souls are being transformed into malformed beasts. There's no known cure, and the mysterious incidents are spreading. She needed someone by her side while she dug deeper. Branden serves faithfully by the princess's side until one incident when he failed to keep her out of harm's way. The princess does make a full recovery, but Branden is seen as a failure, unfit to be trusted with the princess's life. The kingdom strips Branden of his knighthood, and he chooses to leave. Branden begins to travel, and that's how he meets Ardbert and his other companions, Lamet, Rendere, Nailbert, and Silva. The group returns to Vobert with the intent of finding the culprit behind these transformations. They investigate and find Todrick responsible. He's a court mage and a once loyal servant of the royal family. Todrick became consumed by pride and jealousy and wanted to blanket the kingdom with chaos, all so he could claim the throne himself. The companions rose up against Todrick and mortally wounded him. However, Todrick had enough life left in him and malice in his heart to cast one final curse. The target, Princess Saldia, who arrived just at the wrong time. Like so many others, she was doomed to transform into a ravenous beast. Saldia begged Branden to end her life in that last moment of lucidity. It's a gut-wrenching decision that Branden has to make, but he finds the resolve to put his princess to rest, even though Ardbert offered to do it himself. Saldia was the one who believed in Branden from the very beginning. She dies, sparking the awakening of Branden's crystal and marking him as an official Warrior of Light. Branden and his companions travel across the realm doing what all good heroes do, thwarting evil plots. These threads eventually lead them to a battle with one of their own. Silva, a friend who had been with them through thick and thin, reveals herself as the Shadow Keeper, a villainous mastermind who had been grooming the world's young adventurers into the Warriors of Light. She deceived them from the very beginning. Silva didn't even belong to the First. She's actually from the 13th. And a tool of the Ascians to bring the First closer to rejoining. Branden, Ardbert, and the rest clash and conquer Silva. Despite the deception and her goals, Ardbert spares her life. He can't bring himself to kill someone he once called a close friend. Instead, the warriors turn their weapons against the two pulling the strings, the Ascians Metron and Logrif. You can watch my video explaining each Ascian if you'd like to know more about them. The warriors fight a grueling battle against the pair, forcing them to merge into an Ascian Prime, but even that monstrous power isn't enough to stop them. They slay Logrif, and Ardbert buries his axe into Metron, burning with an overwhelming desire to banish darkness from their world. This causes Metron to unleash the light inside of him, flooding the First and transforming him into Eden, the very first Sin Eater. The flood crashed over their world, swallowing up most life in its wake. The only reason the warriors survive is by the intervention of another Ascian, Elidibus. He offers the Warriors of Light a chance to redeem themselves and save the world they damned unintentionally. He tells Branden and the others to travel to the source, promising that a calamity there would stop the flood of light on the first. Now, traveling through the rift between reflections isn't a simple task. The Ascians possess the power to do so, but bringing the Warriors of Light with them requires they abandon their mortal bodies. This allows their souls to make the journey, and still have a physical presence on the source. There's a major side effect to this, but we'll get to it in a moment. They arrive on the moon in the source, where Elidibus tells Branden and the others they must cause chaos. This can be done by slaying primals, and, if they meet, the Warrior of Light from the source. The group abandons their former titles and become the Warriors of Darkness. They also assume pseudonyms to blend in with this unfamiliar world. Branden adopts the name Blanhars. The Warriors of Darkness clash with the Scions a few times after tracking down primals like Ravana, Garuda, and Ifrit. Each clash reveals a little more of their situation to the Warrior of Light, about the decision Branden and his friends made to give up their very lives for the sake of the first. The opposing groups share a common factor: resolve. Neither one is willing to accept defeat. It's only when the light of their combined crystals brings them before Minfilia, the voice of Hydaelyn, that the two truly understand one another. Minfilia promises the Warriors of Darkness that she will travel to the first, to do what she can to stop their world from unraveling. The Warriors ask to go home with her. So Minfilia brings their souls back to the first, but the tragedy of their heroic sacrifices cannot be undone. Minfilia uses the souls of Branden and the others, except for Ardbert, to stop the flood of light. While his ether, his very soul, is cast aside for the greater good, Branden's body remains. In time, it had become a powerful sin-eater known as Cardinal Virtue Dakausen. The husk of a once honorable knight now roams Norvant, attacking innocents without mercy. In the Shadowbringers role quest series for tank jobs, we meet Granson in the Crystarium. He's a virtue hunter who was born and raised in Wright, a town near Yulmore. He lived with his future bride Melinda. Now, a year before the Warrior of Light meets Granson, Melinda accepts a job to restore a broken bracelet named the Fangs of Orthus. Granson leaves town to find her the right tools, but when he returns, the village is under attack. Dakausen is killing and corrupting everyone in his path, including Granson's beloved Melinda. Dakausen takes the bracelet and leaves, putting Granson on the path for revenge. The warrior and Granson set out to find the Cardinal Virtue and destroy him. The pair recognize that this Sin-Eater is a little different from the rest. Most don't care for worldly possessions, as they operate purely on instinct. So why would a Sin-Eater attack a village for a bracelet? It turns out the Fangs of Orthus are a relic of the ancient kingdom of Vobert, the same kingdom that Branden served during his time as a knight. The pair follow rumors of another Vobert artifact, but Dakausen finds the owner first. The monster turns the owner into a Sin-Eater and leaves with the choker they were searching for. Granson and the warrior's mission brings them to Ilmeg. That's because years ago, scavengers made an expedition there in search of priceless Vobert treasures. The survivors made it out with two of them, the Fangs and the Eyes of Orthus. Granson believes the third treasure, the Claws, are still at the place where the others were unearthed. If they could find it, the duo could lure Dakausen out and cut him down for good. It's on this journey that the two meet a new Mo named Sol Ul, who once served the royal family. They want to know more about Branden, the man behind the monster. But to Granson's surprise, Sol Ul has nothing but kind words to share about Branden's devotion to the crown. Still driven by that burning desire for revenge, Granson lashes out in anger. In his mind, Branden's good deeds in his former life mean nothing. All that remains is a heartless monster that deserves nothing but death. The man is no more, just a Sin-Eater. But Sol Ul empathizes with Granson's personal struggles and tells the duo the tale of Branden's tragic past. Everything that happened in his journey to becoming a warrior of light, Princess Saldia, and the agonizing decision Branden had to make. Granson takes all of this in and reflects on not only what he lost, but what Branden had to do. So what does Granson have to gain from becoming a vengeful hero? Crushing Dykausen isn't going to bring his beloved Melinda back, and it won't bring him peace. No, Granson couldn't allow himself to be swallowed up by revenge. Branden is a victim, just like him. Instead, Granson must put the Sin Eater to rest so Branden and his wife can move on. The duo track down the claws of Orthus with Sol Ul's help, the latter satisfied with the former's change of heart. They clash with the Sin Eater once more and defeat him for the last time. We see Branden's ether form into his spirit as he begins to fade away. At first, Granson worries that Branden is just like him, unable to let go of the tragedies in his past, still clinging to his duty. But that memory plays on, revealing that Branden, despite everything that's happened, is at peace. Branden is a heroic figure who gave everything for his world. He's a tragic hero that perseveres despite a reverse of fortune. Branden isn't rewarded for his good deeds, but still manages to find peace in the afterlife. And his story imparts an important lesson for Granson and the player. Sometimes, you have to let things go. We also see a strong transformation of character in Branden. In Heavensward, he's characterized as brutal and cruel, but when he returns in Shadowbringers, we see a much kinder, nobler side to him. And that's because Branden, like his friends, had to harden themselves, all because of that mission of causing a calamity in the source. And most importantly, Branden is one of the best examples of heroic sacrifice in Final Fantasy XIV's story. So what did you think of Branden and the role quests for him in Shadowbringers? Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. Also, you should subscribe if you enjoy lore discussions for Final Fantasy XIV like this one. If you want to stay in touch with me and other fans of the channel, you can find the link to the Discord in the description of this video. Until the next one, take care, warriors, and I'll see you next time.